What's up, everyone? Today I'm in Scotland, in Edinburgh, where I'm going to be hiking in Pentland Hills Regional Park. I'm going to be showing you the views and the reservoir with some help from our friends along the way, the sheep that live in the park. Let's get into it. One of the beautiful things about Scotland is, unlike the rest of the UK, they have really strong right to roam laws here, which basically means that you have the freedom to hike on private land. You can even camp on private land, as long as you're leaving no trace. Obviously, you don't want to be a jerk about it. There's our first glimpse of the park off in the distance, and we're going to be hiking that direction. Well, the good news is the trail is well maintained, or the pathway is well maintained on the road here, but you're definitely close to cars and there are trucks, so keep an eye out and be cautious. Made it to the entrance, and there's a little cafe that isn't open right now, but I think usually is. There's also toilets if you need them, so a really good spot to kick off the hike. One important piece of advice: always start your hikes cold, which basically means if you've got an extra layer on at the beginning of the hike, take it off. You're gonna get hot going uphill, and it'll save you from sweating, which especially in winter is really dangerous because the sweat then freezes and makes your body cold. Start out being a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit colder than you wanna be, just because you're gonna warm up as you go up the hill. Pentland Hills has active farms in it, so it's important to keep the latches shut so that the cattle can't escape. There's some cows off in the distance that we're going to be walking by in a little bit. It's a beautiful day out today. There is some rain in the forecast, but it's Scotland. There's always rain in the forecast. So about 1/10 of a mile in or so, you're going to get this divergence where you can either go off to the right, and that'll take you around the reservoir, or you can go off to the left, and that'll take you up Turnhouse Hill. I'm going up to the left, and then I'll come back down around the reservoir. And then immediately after that junction, you're gonna get here where you can go off to the left again, or off to the right, and this time you wanna go up right. So after that right-hand turn, you're going to start your first little bit of uphill for the day. These little white things are actually sheaths around young saplings that have been planted to replenish the forest in this part of the park. They help protect the saplings from the cold, as well as from animals nibbling at them, and give them a chance to grow a little bit stronger. One of the reasons you see a lot of those young saplings, not just here, but in parts of the highlands as well, is also part of why you get such great views from the mountains here at relatively low altitudes, and that's because of deforestation. It's also because of the weather. It's a harsh climate for sure, but a lot of the trees have been cut down, so the Scottish government is trying to regrow the forest where they can. We have our first sheep sighting of the day. Yeah, look at that side eye. Aw, she's a cutie. So definitely a steep ascent at this portion. Also, trail's dry right now, but definitely want good traction because it would be quite muddy if it was a little rainy. So you can see there's some wool caught in the branches and under the trees here. I assume that's because the sheep like to take cover under these trees for shelter. So at this point, we're about 1.5 miles in. Been going uphill for, I don't know, the last half mile or so. Definitely steep, so keep that in mind. Look, we got some more sheep friends. How y'all doing? Well, now that we're up towards the ridgeline, the wind has definitely started to pick up. There's the cairn marking the top of Turnhouse Hill. And now I'm gonna head that way towards Carnethy Hill. So one thing I like for days like today, where it's a little bit colder than you'd like, but you don't want to put on another layer, is a little buff or some sort of neck covering like this. Just keeps your neck warm, makes it a little more comfortable. I don't want to upset Mama or anyone, but the lamb is quite cute. Hello, little buddy. So in between Turnhouse and Carnethy Hill, if you want to go up the hill like I'm going to do here, you just go up to the left here. And if you want to go back down around the reservoir, you take a right. One nice thing about hiking in Scotland, or anywhere else where you get above the tree line quickly, in addition to the gorgeous views, is you can tell how far you have to go. Well, up at the top, there's this little ring of stones piled up. I wonder how good of a windbreak that is. Let's find out. So if you're trying to figure out where the wind's coming from, easy way to do it, just lick your finger, hold it up. When it feels extra cold from the evaporation because the wind's hitting your finger, that lets you know which direction it's coming from. So even though it's not much of a wall, you can feel how strong the wind is. Just get down a little bit and you can feel, or hear at least, I hope for you all, I can feel it, just how much of a difference that little bit of protection makes. So that's facing east, that's Turnhouse Hill that we just came off of. Now we're turning north. You can't see the city from here, but it's out there. And that's west. And over towards the south, you can see a storm coming in. So rather than go back the way we came, I'm just gonna go down this way. That being said, this way is quite steep and all loose rocks, so you gotta be mindful of your footing. So the heather gives you better traction, but it's quite deep and easy to misplace your footsteps, so take it slow. Definitely recommend just going back the way we came. Now we're joining back up the main trail, and look who's here to greet us. Hey little buddies. So one of the reasons why I love this park so much is because when I was going to school here, from the library you can see the hills off in the distance, and it was always incredible to see them either covered in snow in the winter or just bathed in the light of sunset. Just made studying a little bit of a richer experience. So I've always appreciated these hills, and I'm glad to be back out among them. Normally I'm not one for walking along roads on a hike, but I'll make an exception here because the scenery is still lovely. And that's what the sheep look like after they've been sheared. Well, this is the best thicket of gorse bushes I've seen. I'm getting back towards the car park, so overall I would say the trail is an excellent one, especially for how close it is to Edinburgh. It took me about 45 minutes on the bus, and you get amazing views for how short the mountains are, or the hills really. Each one was about 1,500 to 1,800 feet. So not a lot of vertical, all things considered, but it is steep for the portion that you're going uphill, so keep that in mind. Definitely want to have good traction, especially if it's wet out. But overall, I would say it doesn't get much better in terms of just quick day or half day hikes that you want to do. Highly recommend getting out here if you can. But in the meantime, follow along with me for more hikes around the world. Hope to get up to the Highlands soon. Hopefully getting up to Alaska here in a little bit. So click like and subscribe to follow along, and I'll catch you next time.